Thank you so much for joining us today for our Journey to Success series. My name is Sim. I'm the head of content here at Unlimit. Could you please start us off with a bit about yourself and your journey so far that's led you to this point of being co-founder?
Perfect. So my name is Juan Pablo Ortega. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Yuno. Before Yuno, I co-founded Rappi. Rappi is one of the fastest growing on-demand delivery companies in Latin America. We deliver everything from food to groceries to electronics to even cash. You can get cash delivered to your doorstep in many of the 9 countries where we operate. Before Yuno, I was actually an airline consultant. So before Rappi and Yuno, I was all about airlines. I'm a commercial pilot, and I work in different areas in the airline industry. But in 2015, when I met my co-founder, Simon, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur and start a new company, just didn't have the chance or the idea to do it. And then when I learned about Rappi and the idea about it, I was like, this is perfect to move back to Latin America and start a new company. So I used to live in New York, and one week to another one, I quit my job, packed all my bags, and moved to Mexico to start Rappi. And it was the beginning of a crazy journey into starting multiple companies. And I think what keeps me motivated is seeing all the impact that these companies are making, not only for our employees, but also for our partners and for the society overall. How the technology we're creating is moving the region forward and is helping the economy overall.
Thank you for sharing. That's an incredible journey, especially the fact that it was almost overnight that you decided you were going to start a new adventure. That's incredible.
And it was actually like overnight. When I first spoke to Simon, it was a Friday night, and he gave me until Sunday to make a decision. So I had one day to decide whether I was going to quit my job in New York and move to Latin America to start from the beginning. So it was actually I had I think little time to decide, and I think it was super helpful that it was that way, because I think if I would have had more time, I would have overthought the decision, and maybe I wouldn't have decided to start Rappi at that point.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. I think sometimes some of the best decisions are made when you just don't think too much about it and you just go for it. And like you said, it is very impactful seeing people using the innovations that you're working on, because it's literally enhancing people's everyday life, and that's incredible. But it's evident that you have a passion for fintech startups influencing Latin America. So which are broad topics that are evolving very quickly, and how do you keep up with Latin American landscape and the involvements in that fintech space?
So I was in a way forced to get into fintech when we started Rappi and we opened our operation in Mexico. The biggest issue that we had was payments. We had low approval rates. We had chargebacks. We had too many issues with payments, and that's how I got started into fintech. And at the beginning, we were trying to just make it easier for our users to pay. And this led me to a point where even if we at Rappi improve everything and we made everything easier, there were some infrastructure issues. There were issues with the banks. There were issues with the networks that process payments, that they didn't have the capabilities that we need as a company. And that was the main reason that led me to start RappiPay. RappiPay was kind of the beginning of the fintech inside Rappi. It started as a P2P solution that evolved into a full-service bank, where today we issue credit cards in Colombia, in Mexico, and in different parts of the region. And I think this is what led me to get so involved in fintechs. Things that we're seeing evolve quickly. Number one is payments. We're seeing that payments in the card not present scenario, so online payments are growing. We're seeing that after COVID, there was a huge push in an increase of penetration of the population into buying online. But there was a problem here, because only, depending on what kind of statistics you look at, but only like 30-40% of the population in Latin America have a credit card. And depending on how you look at it, it's only like 50-60% have a bank account. So companies that wanted to sell online At the beginning, the only option was debit card, credit card, but they were limiting the number of users that were able to actually buy online. This led to different forms of payment. So today in different parts, you have a way of going, for example, in Mexico, you can go to an auction, you can pay in cash for an online order. But what we're seeing is that this is evolving around different ways of how people are paying. A big one which is growing is wallets. We're seeing a huge increase in the penetration of payments online by Nequi and DaviPlata in Colombia. We're seeing the same thing in Mexico with the growth of wallets like Mercado Pago. So what we're seeing around the region is that this space of people that are used to paying in cash, as they move into online payments, there is still a part of them that are still going to an OXXO or to a 7-Eleven to make the payments. But we're also seeing that the part where the population are actually moving into having a wallet or having one of these neobanks to make their purchases online is actually increasing. That's the second part. We're seeing that the innovation in neobanks, the innovation in wallets, the way on how people are able to open a wallet or a bank account easily from their cell phone is increasing the penetration of the population that have a bank account or population that have a financial service like a wallet is growing. And finally, another trend is crypto. I think the only difference here in crypto is that we're seeing that crypto is becoming a way for people to hold value. We don't see it as a way of people paying, like people are not paying with crypto, but people in countries with hyperinflation like Venezuela, Argentina, are holding their life savings using stable coins or using cryptos, because they know that if they hold their currency, their fiat, they end up basically losing value as inflation grows, while if they're able to keep their money or their savings safe using one of these cryptocurrencies, they're able to hold value of their money.
That's very, very insightful. Thank you for sharing. I mean, everything you're saying also just reiterates how influential and up and coming the Latin American landscape is. There is so much happening, there is so much growth, and there's so much penetration as well. It's phenomenal, and that's why we're seeing so many fintechs and startups trying to move into the market, because there's a lot of room for growth there.
Agree. And as the difficult part is that there is a lot of room for growth, but it's an extremely challenging region. It's a challenging with hyper fragmentation. You have different regulations, different way of doing things in each different country. Some countries tend to be smaller than other markets. So when a company wants to enter a specific country, they're seeing that they have to basically get over so much regulation, so many hurdles, that many times the business case doesn't really work. And this is why we don't see the big payment processors like Stripe or Adyen actually entering the region in most of the countries, which opens an opportunity for other companies to take advantage of this amazing opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, as you've rightly said, I think a lot of the time people look at the region as they can just brush one type and one approach over it, but you can't, because it's a massive region and it's got multiple markets within that. So it has to be that flexibility and that adaptability that you're referring to. So absolutely, I couldn't agree more. Sort of moving on ever so slightly though, if you don't mind, I wanted to ask, I know you've touched on the path and the story of how you led to this point, but what was the passion behind it? What drove your passion to co-found a company, and how does your week generally look as a co-founder?
So the last company, Yuno, I think the passion came from seeing such an amazing opportunity in helping company process payments. It was just crazy as I spoke with the CEOs and the CFOs of large corporations. They all mentioned payments and fraud as one of their main pain points and things that they wanted to improve, but they weren't finding a way to do it. So I knew, and I had, in a way, like a clear plan on what needed to happen. I saw that the problem was beyond what I expected, because all the companies were having issues with payments. And I think this is what led me to start and to fund Yuno. It was just seeing such an amazing opportunity and a clear path on how to solve it. And there were many issues that we already solved in Rappi, doing different things. There were ideas and there were ways that we were seeing that could solve some of the issues, but no one was actually doing this problem. Or we also saw how in the US, in Europe, in other regions, most of these problems were being solved, but no one was actually doing it here. So I think seeing the opportunity and how we were able to build a technology company that could solve all of these issues, not only in Latin America, but around the world, which is what we're doing right now, led me to fund it. Now, thinking of the week to week is a completely different, everyday changes. But I would say it's 95% problem solving and 5% just thinking about the strategy. I think my role as the CEO of the company is obviously to guide the vision of the company and to make sure every single team is executing to accomplish that vision. But as we grow, as we open new markets, as we onboard new merchants, at the end there is a large number of problems or obstacles that come our way, and one of my main my main tasks are helping the team solve those issues. And with my experience and with everything that I have done in the past, that's where I spend a lot of time on, is just helping the different teams executing and getting over those obstacles and hurdles to keep growing the company and to keep executing our vision.
No, thank you for sharing that. That's incredible. I mean, sort of touching directly on that element of supporting people and nurturing people, and you're trying to, as you said, you're dealing with so many things. Being as a leader and a successful entrepreneur, you have to deal with elements of failure throughout your career pathway. It's inevitable, unfortunately, for many of us. So how do you deal with failure? And when you have a situation that maybe you feel like hasn't gone the right way, how do you motivate yourself to get back up and to carry on?
You have to embrace failure. Failure is the only way to create innovation. In order to achieve great things and in order to change how things work, you have to be an overachiever and you have to think about ideas that are so crazy that most of them are going to fail. So we are in this difficult position because we are basically processing payments for one of the biggest corporations in Latin America. So this puts us in a really difficult position, because even though we want to innovate, even though we want to do things fast, even though we want to change how things work, we need to fail without compromising the payments of our customers. And this is where we have to balance where and in what parts of the process we are able to fail, we're able to make mistakes without affecting the customer, and with what other parts we have to be perfect and we cannot fail. And I think creating different methods so that the team is able to move fast and break things without basically breaking the integration of the customer is key on how we're able to execute that. So in a nutshell, you have to, as a company, again, embrace failures. You have to push the teams to think about ideas that are so radical, so different that most of them are going to fail. But how do you do that in an environment or in a place where this does not affect our customers, and the public API, the production stage, is always running 100% of the time without any issues? But how, as we develop new ideas, we're able to test these ideas in environments where failure is okay and we can fail, but then some of these amazing ideas are gonna then continue going into production, and our customers are gonna be able to enjoy better approval rates and just better performance overall.
Thank you. That was very insightful. And I think I love the fact that you're saying, think of things that are so out there and then expect it to almost happen, because then you're preparing yourself for the worst. But also, if it lands, that's incredible. That's an incredible mindset to have. So something that I would really like to know, if you're okay to share with us, is, do you have any moments in your career that have shaped you as a professional and a person? And if you do, what have made those moments so powerful for you?
Yeah, I think if I think about those moments are the moments where I have definitely failed or I have made a mistake. People think that the moments of success are the moments that shape you, but the reality is the other way. When I think back on the moments that have changed me as a leader, as a person, as an entrepreneur, it has been the moments where I have made mistakes, the moments where things don't go unexpected, or that things or are kind of the when I think of what have been the worst days uh, of my career, are those moments the ones that actually changed me and improved me and made me better as a person. So um, I think thinking back and understanding and learning from those mistakes and from those days where things didn't go unexpected or things completely fail are those important learnings that are going to make you better as a person. And then if you're able to not only learn from those mistakes, but also you're able to improve the way you do things, that improve the way you think about things, those are the ones that are going to make you a better entrepreneur or a person overall.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do love that, but I think also for some people it must be quite hard to absorb the fact that you can turn such a negative thing into a positive thing. And I think what you're saying is so powerful because it's so true, and it is probably one of the hardest lessons, but it's also something that can teach us the most when we've gone through something that maybe hasn't gone the way that we would like it to or the way we planned for it to. It can shape us and it can alter our mindset, which is very powerful. But it can also be quite a difficult thing to do. But obviously you're proof that it can be done, and it can be done very well, and it's helped you advance in your career and the way you think and the way you lead and the way you run teams.
And this is extremely important because being an entrepreneur is being able to always see the glass half full instead of half empty. I think as an entrepreneur, you have to be positive. You have to have a positive thinking because you are basically looking at the good side of what other people see as negative. Maybe when I started thinking of I should have said, oh, there is so many problems in the payment ecosystem. I should move to the US and start a company in the US. But no, we see all these problems, all these glass half full as opportunities to start new companies. And this is the way entrepreneurship works. As entrepreneurs, we have to always look at everything that is wrong and everything that is bad and finding a way to make it better or to create a product that improves the life of people. And this is just being positive and always looking at the good side of things. Everything has a good side. I don't think people say, oh no, if this happened to you or this happened to you, everything is wrong. No, everything, even the most negative things, has a positive side, and you have to embrace that part and you have to grow out of that.
Yeah, that's a really inspiring mindset to have, because I think, especially I haven't been in the position of running a business or being an entrepreneur, but I can imagine there must be several knocks, especially quite early on, where you feel like it's, an idea has to change, or it's a failure, or it's not going the way you want it to, or at the pace you want it to. It must be very hard to maintain that mindset. But it's so incredible. And as you said, I do agree. I think it's such an important mindset to have at any point in your career, because it will help you to advance and uplift yourself and stay, like, find a way to motivate yourself, essentially. Which leads me on very nicely to my next question for you, which is what actually does keep you motivated, and how would you advise other people to uplift themselves when they're in need of a boost?
I think what keeps me motivated is seeing the impact around my team, my customers, just overall that we're making. I think many times we are short-sighted on understanding what is the impact or how people are benefiting from the things that we're building. And when I'm thinking, okay, when I'm feeling, sad, demotivated, I think understanding and looking, how much revenue we're helping companies grow, understanding how the engineers and our team are able to advance in their careers, how they're learning new things, and how they're growing as professionals, as person. Those are the things that keep me motivated. I think people think that entrepreneurs are all doing things to become rich and to just sell their companies, and I think obviously that's part of things that people want. But The best part is just when you're able to see the impact that your company is having overall. Today, there are some metrics that we look at, like what percentage of the population are going through Yuno, what percentage of credit cards are going to Yuno. When you see those numbers, sometimes starting at basics points and then getting to 1%, 2%, 5%, getting to double digits, those are, I think, the best moments, and the moments that show you that what you're building is something that is actually having an impact, not only around you, but in the country, in the region, in the whole economy.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I mean, I love the fact that in that answer, you were almost saying to almost look outwardly as well. So whilst you can find that motivation within yourself, you can also look at the people around you, and that's motivation. And that's a really great sign of leadership as well. And such a successful pathway, because it's great if you're motivated, but what if your teams aren't? You have to also be in a position where they are also feeling valued and feeling motivated, and they're seeing the bigger picture, which is great. It's very important.
Correct.
So I actually am already at my last question for you now, and it's something that I love to ask everyone. It's quite open-ended, so it can be anything that you would like. But I always like to ask people, because you've already had such a profound career pathway and it's been so influential and you've encountered so many experiences, how would you personally define success?
It's a really good question. And I think it's a question that keeps evolving. You think success is this final end, or something that you get to and you kind of stay there? The reality, and what I have learned, and this has changed throughout my life, is that success is just reaching another level and understanding what the next level of success is. I think when I think back when I was like 14, 13, for me being successful was becoming a pilot. And I started flying when I was 15. I became a pilot when I was 16. I got my pilot license when I was 17. And I think for me at that point, that was kind of success. It was just having this. These have changed, and then when I was in my early 20s, it was starting a company and making it successful. And with all the success of Rappi, then is this kind of success, and am I successful? And now my goal, and when I look at success, is creating a company that has an impact in the region around the world. It's just creating a technology or developing something that is making a change and impacting the life of millions of people. And I'm pretty sure when I get there, I want to do something else. So I think success is something that changes and continuously evolves, and it's something that is different for everyone. And you have to understand that for yourself, and you shouldn't be following success because other people think that is what success is. Because the reality is that for everyone, success is something different. And for some people, it could be starting a nonprofit. For some people, it could be having $1 million. For some people, it could be having a car. And you need to understand that everyone look at success different, and then always understand that this is going to change over time and it's going to be dynamic. And every time you reach a moment where you feel successful, there is always going to be the next level for that.
Thank you so much. I love that, because you're right. I think we can have goals and then we reach them and then we're like, now what? What can I do next? And I absolutely love the fact that your journey has gone from being a pilot to where you are now. Like, it's such a big change. But also the reason I love it is because it's proof that people's journey doesn't have to be one pathway. You can actually change at any point that you want to. If you have a vision, you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to have a business, or you want to just change career, it is possible and it can be a success. That summarizes my questions for you today. And I am so grateful for your time. It's been lovely speaking with you. And I absolutely adore your career pathway. It's very inspiring. And I'm just so grateful that you've made the time. So thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you for the invitation. It's always amazing to share my experiences and what I think to inspire the next wave of entrepreneurs around the world.
Absolutely. And I'm sure it definitely will. So thank you.